So, you've probably heard of 50 Shades of Grey, haven't you? I mean, everyone's talking about it, right? Everyone's reading it. Everybody says they should read it. And, everybody's girlfriend should be reading it. It's going to help your sex life. It's such a great book. It's amazing, right? So, I'm going to check it out. No, I don't read. Don't get me wrong. I don't read. I downloaded the audiobook, so I've been, reading it. I'm about halfway done. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to hate something just because it's popular. I'm not like, I hated Twilight because it was bad. Okay? Harry Potter's popular. I don't hate Harry Potter. Alright? It's fine. I don't like it. I don't watch it. I don't care about the books, but I'm not going to be ripping on it because, it's actually pretty good. Now, Twilight is terrible. I hate it. Shades of Grey is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And it's not like I don't like what it's about. That's not the thing. I mean, it's, the story's interesting. It's about, a girl, an innocent girl entering this dominant, submissive lifestyle, whatever. What's interesting is now everybody knows what it's about. And I mean, not now since I said, but since it's just been out. Everybody knows what the book's about. It must have been a very different experience reading the book and not knowing what it's about than it is now knowing what it's about. I'm just interested in how that was. Because now, at this point, you can't read it without knowing for a fact what's coming. So everything seems like foreshadowing. But for then, I wonder how it reads. But anyway, if you're interested in that, if you're interested in this, in that concept, read any other book but this one. This book is awful. It's terrible. What's terrible about it? Well, the characters are horrible, the writing is very bad, and the dialogue is completely unreadable. Let's start with the characters. There's two in it. Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele. Christian Grey is a 27-year-old billionaire who's also the best-looking man on the planet. So how many of those are there? How many of you guys, raise your hand if you can relate to that? Oh, nobody? Nobody! And it's set in 2011. So if you're thinking of a 27-year-old billionaire, what are you thinking of? How do you get that money? I'm thinking he made up some kind of a website or mobile application. Some kind of a web app, some kind of a thing like Friendster or Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook. That's what. No, he's not. He has nothing to do with the internet at all. He's like a fucking agricultural tycoon. Yeah. In 5 years out of college, he started a whole fucking business that deals with manufacturing agricultural products. Are you fucking joking? Why would you write that in there? That's absurd. Like, where are you getting this shit? I mean, just make him a fucking website, make up some website like Palster, and he made a fucking website called Palster that really took off. Like, why's it gotta be some weird thing that no 27-year-old would ever be into? Whatever. Then he's also the best-looking man in the world. He's so good-looking that when any woman looks at him, she just opens her fucking mouth for him. And he can do whatever he wants with that mouth. He can put whatever he wants in there, and she'll suck on it, okay? That's how good-looking he is. So, okay, that's so over the top. Like, he's such a perfect human being, like, forget about it. Who can relate to that? So, we got Anastasia Steele. Maybe she's relatable, right? She's a 21-year-old college student, so, that's understood. She's kind of working for a living, a regular girl. Well, she's a virgin who's never masturbated, never been kissed, and apparently never actually had a sexual fantasy or been sexually aroused at all. She's completely asexual. Now, maybe she's religious. Maybe she's a waiting for marriage kind of type. No, there's no spirituality or religion mentioned by her at all. I wish she was born in a really strict upbringing, because that would make sense. No. So, okay, well, then she must be fat and ugly, right? She must be fat and ugly. Well, if she was fat and ugly, then, she's not. She's very good looking. She has to be the best looking person ever, because the billionaire playboy who can get any woman he wants wouldn't be infatuated with someone who is not the best looking girl ever. It doesn't make sense. They both have to be the most beautiful people in the world. So, I'm not really sure who can relate to Anastasia either. Now, on top of her being this asexual kind of person, she also has absolutely no personality. She isn't funny, isn't charming, isn't clever, witty, or smart. She's just completely dry and clumsy. Her character is that she's clumsy and clueless. So she's the perfect victim, right? Now, the thing about this book that kind of creeps me out a little is that it very much parallels a pedophile stalking a child. Because, this isn't like a rape book, because he never actually forces her to do anything, but he definitely manipulates her into doing everything he wants. And she's got the sexual maturity of a 12-year-old. I mean, she's completely immature. So when a guy with his level of maturity is kind of coaxing her into doing these things she's not sure she wants to do, it really could be taken in a very creepy way. And I do take it that way. It's really creepy. And she is convinced to do with a lot of things that she has no business doing at this point, But let's not even get into that. That's too deep. That's too far. Let's just talk about the dialogue and how stupid that is. The first scene opens with her interviewing him because her roommate, who's a reporter, has an interview scheduled, and she is sick. So instead of rescheduling or getting one of her newspaper reporters to do it, she just tells her roommate. She just pawns off, and this is a billionaire, okay? It's like interviewing Donald Trump. Like, if you have that interview, you don't just give it to somebody and go, oh, can you do it for me? Whatever. It isn't like you're interviewing a fucking teacher. Like, this guy's a billionaire. But whatever. So she just gives the job to a roommate who's not a writer at all, and just goes, here's my questions, go interview this guy. Go drive 100 miles to interview this guy. Okay, so obviously she doesn't even read the questions and goes and interviews him. Now, this guy owns a company, 40,000 employees. And then, so first thing, she enters his office, she falls on her face. She stumbles forward on her face. So I guess she's very clumsy. She also has no idea what she's going to ask him because this whole time she hasn't actually read the questions. So she's also very unprepared and irresponsible. Sounds like a winner so far. Then she's talking to Christian and she asks him something about like, how do you run your business? What's your philosophy? And he's like, well, I like to get the best employees possible and put them in the best jobs possible. And then she goes, oh, you must be a big control freak. Well, that seems a little rude. Definitely very uncalled for. I mean, if you're running a 40,000 employee business, how would you recommend he run it instead of taking the best people and putting them in the best spots? Kind of letting people party all the time? I mean, you ask a guy how he runs his business, and then when he answers you accuse him of being a control freak. Now, Anna, I guess it's possible that Anna is that rude and tactless, but she really isn't ever rude. This just seems like they're trying to develop Christian's character by jumping the gun, really jumping the gun about how control freaky he is. I mean, it turns out he actually is a control freak in all things, but discovering that through the way he runs his employees is not the place for it, okay? That's character development, like, gone awry. So in the first 5 fucking minutes of me hearing the book, she's already fallen on her face, disrespected him, and I now spontaneously know that he's a control freak, because it was like just beaten over my head for no fucking reason. Anyway, so this dialogue is awful. Shit said that never should be said. Christian is really mysterious and vague when he shouldn't be that mysterious and vague. Like, there's no reason. Like, he answers with no when it should be no, comma, here's why. And it's really obvious, but they don't tell you that. Like, he's so fucking cool and mysterious, he doesn't have to go into depth. Okay. Then, let's fast forward quite a bit. This really, like, jumped out at me as something really irritating. They're talking about his kinky habits. How he likes to control girls and how he likes to, punish them and whatever. And he goes, you know what? Let me show you my playroom. They're talking about kinky sex, and then he says, let me show you my playroom. She says, what do you mean? You want to play Xbox? Like, what could kill a mood more than that line? Like, just the sheer mention of Xbox is really weird. And then, in no way does this make any sense. I mean, it wasn't even like, it's like, I like to tie girls up, comma, want to see my playroom? It's not even a period. It was the same thought. Like, bondage, playroom. What the fuck? Why would you ever think Xbox? Like, I know you're a virgin and you're really oblivious. You know nothing about bondage or sex or anything. Accepting all that, even being that fucking clueless, which is impossible because there's billboards out there with more bondage than you experience in your life. Christian Grey isn't even the kind of person who would have a fucking Xbox. Like it doesn't make any. There's no fucking universe where this sentence makes any sense, no matter what frame of mind she's in. So that happens all the time in this book. Like, things are said that you want to just you want to just scream, what the fuck are you thinking? Did you know that Anna Steele doesn't have a computer? Is that weird? She's a college, she's a Seattle, college senior, doesn't own a computer. Is that weird? That's definitely weird. It's 2011. Here's something else weird. She doesn't even have an email address. 2011, college senior. I'm pretty sure it's not possible to be in an American college and not have an email. You know, like those emails that end in .edu? The college gives those to you for free, and then they use those to send you all kinds of stuff, like your syllabus, your schedule. They use that as your login in the library system. They use it for fucking everything. Why would she not have an email? Like, why can't she just have an email that she doesn't use at least? Why do you have to specifically say she doesn't have one until she's given one? Like, why? It destroys your book to be so stupid. Let's talk about the writing. Let's talk about some things let's talk about some words. I'm going to say 3 words. And I want you to close your eyes and listen to me say them. And then I'm going to ask you a question. Speculative. Or speculatively, column 1. Exasperated. Inexplicably. Those 3 words. How many times in 100 pages would you find it acceptable to read those words? Think about it. Your answer should be between 0 and 1, and never more than 1. Unless somebody's name is exasperated, you shouldn't be hearing that word that often. And inexplicably? How many times can one thing be inexplicable? 1 time. Then it ceases to be inexplicable because you can explain it after you understand what the one thing is. Okay? Here's what happens to Anastasia Steele. She flushes, turns red. She flushes inexplicably at least 3 times in the first 100 pages. And then several other things happen inexplicably. But she flushes inexplicably 3 times. And I can explain why. It's because she's aroused. She's sexually aroused by Christian Grey. Now, being that she's 100% asexual and has never been aroused before in her life up until her 21st year of life, the first time that she's inexplicably aroused, she's allowed to say it's inexplicable why she's flushing. But every other time she sees Christian and flushes, she should understand why. Okay? Stop fucking telling me that it's inexplicable. Like, who's the writer trying to fool? I mean, the reader definitely knows why she's flushing. And if Anastasia can't figure out why she's flushing, then I feel really bad for her because she's got brain damage. Okay? Then we got speculative gazes constantly, and we have exasperated looks and people saying things exasperatedly. About 100 times. Another couple things that are said about 1,000 times is penetrating gaze, I flush, the way his pants hang on his hips, in that way. I wish he just named the way, so she can just say the way they're hanging, instead of saying in that way. Or just say his pants are hanging on his hips. We get it. His lips pressed into a hard line, like this. He's got a real fucking twitch for that, because his lips press into a hard line very often. And Anastasia bites her bottom lip all the time. And every time she does, Christian tells her not to. And it's really annoying. And also Anastasia, which it isn't ever touched on, but she's got a severe eating disorder. Because she can't eat when she's around Christian, ever. She's constantly losing her appetite. The thing is, though, she's with Christian for stretches of 2 to 3 days sometimes, and every time they eat, she does not eat. And every time she doesn't eat, he tells her to eat. And the word eat is fucking so annoying by the time you're done that you don't want to eat yourself. This book causes anorexia because you're fucking sick of hearing about it. Fucking stop. It's not a good book. It isn't good. I mean, I like the subject matter. I'm interested in the subject matter. But this is it's awful. It's really weird. It's predatory. It's kind of creepy how inexperienced she is and how he's taking advantage of her. The writing's bad, the dialogue is worse. I mean, I'm going to finish it, and I'll probably have a follow-up, but let this be a start for you guys. This is just a start. If you haven't read it yet, do not read it.